We've been talking for the first hour and a half of this show about how Donald Trump and all the things that he's saying at these press conferences and all the things he's said from the beginning of this crisis are going to cause him damage in a way that he can't recover from. And I've had a lot of people asking me, well, give us an example. Well, here's an example. Here's something that Joe Biden put out this past weekend. And just look, this is exhibit number one on how the lies are just hurting him, and he needs to stop and just let his medical officials do the talking. Here's the clip.
He failed to act. So now Trump and his allies are launching negative attacks against Joe Biden to hide the truth. Here are the facts. Joe Biden warned the nation in January that Trump had left us unprepared for a pandemic. Then Biden told Trump he should insist on having American health experts on the ground in China.
I would be on the phone with China and making it clear, we are going to need to be in your country. You have to be open. You have to be clear. We have to know what's going on.
But Trump rolled over for the Chinese. He took their word for it.
The president tweeted, China has been working very hard to contain the coronavirus. The United States greatly appreciates their efforts and transparency.
China, I spoke with President Xi, and they're working very, very hard, and I think it's going to all work out fine.
Trump praised the Chinese 15 times in January and February as the coronavirus spread across the world.
It's a tough situation. I think they're doing a very good job.
Are you concerned about its potential impact on the global economy?
I think that China will do a very good job.
Trump never got a CDC team on the ground in China. And the travel ban he brags about? Trump let in 40,000 travelers from China into America after he signed it. Not exactly airtight. Look around. 22 million Americans are out of work, and we have more officially reported cases and deaths than any other country. Donald Trump left this country unprepared and unprotected for the worst public health and economic crisis in our lifetime. And now we're paying the price. All the negative ads in the world can't change the truth.
Well, you know, of course, I've got to do a fact check on that, Richard, because that was put out a couple days ago, and they said over 30,000 dead. Now it's over 40,000 Americans dead. But that's an example. The more Donald Trump talks, the more he hurts himself. He should just be quiet, let his scientists do the work on the coronavirus and manage it the best he can. But facts are stubborn things. And the facts, not only for Donald Trump, but especially for China, are ugly. And in both cases, China and Donald Trump chose to not be transparent. And in both cases, it blew up in both of their faces. And especially, I'll just say, with China in November and December.
What's interesting, Joe, it's quite possible both countries and both leaderships will come out of this crisis worse for wear. Neither has performed in any way the way he should. And what's also interesting about this, China's an authoritarian system. We're a democratic system. Both of us have performed terribly. And when you look around the world, you say, well, Germany's done okay. South Korea did okay. So what this tells me is that what's critical here is not the nature of the system. It's the nature of the leadership. So Angela Merkel has clearly done well. President Moon in South Korea has clearly done well. People who took this seriously early, who have squared with their own people, who insisted on social distancing, who got testing squared away right. Those steps, taken early and taken with great discipline, those are the leaderships that have done well. So again, the critical factor turns out to be much more the individual rather than the nature of the system, because neither China nor America has done well for itself.
Well, and Richard, we had talked about an article in your publication several months ago, well before this happened, about how President Xi was becoming more autocratic, how he was becoming the singular figure in China in a way that nobody really had since Chairman Mao. And there were concerns then that it could cause a real problem. Well, it has caused a real problem. They covered up. They wouldn't share information with scientists in the West, and they even made an example of the first doctor who tried to warn the world about it. He ended up dying. And now, if you read the Financial Times this morning, there's like Donald Trump. They're trying to blame other people. They have up on their embassy website that French doctors and nurses are abandoning old and sick people in France. It's despicable.
And it won't work. China's image is going to take a hit. I think Xi Jinping has put a lot of his credibility, a lot of his own political future on the line. China's image around the world, around the region, the world, are clearly going to suffer. Look, when you're in power, you get benefit for things, even if you're not responsible for them, and you get blame. Well, in this case, the blame or the responsibility are warranted. And I think China will get more than its share. And those markets never should have been open, Joe. China was very slow to respond. It covered things up. It allowed millions of people to leave Wuhan who should have been locked down. The China bears enormous responsibility, but they can't be blamed for our own lack of preparations here. And they can't be blamed. The World Health Organization had its own shortcomings. This is a situation where no leader and no organization at the center of the crisis has covered himself or itself with credit.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.